Welcome to Colonie TV, the governmental educational channel for the town of Colonie.
My name is Dean. I'm an alcoholic and an addict, and this is Inside Addiction. I want to welcome the Executive Director of the Addictions Care Center of Albany, also known as ACCA, Keith Stack, to this show. Thanks for joining us, Keith.
Oh, thank you for having me, Dean.
Thanks for taking time out of your busy schedule. I know we've been trying to touch base in some kind. It's difficult. Tell me a little bit about yourself, the backstory of Keith Stack, and I'm always intrigued, and people always ask what gets people interested in serving the population that society sometimes otherwise pushes away. So what's your story?
Well, I think, Dean, like many of us who are in recovery, I'm in recovery, and I had to do something different with my life. I had burned a lot of bridges when I was actively using, and burned bridges related to my career, family, and I had to make a decision. I had to really, truly change my life, and I know I couldn't go back to my previous work. I still don't like to admit it, but I lost my job because of my drinking and prescription pill use at that time, and I had to make a change. I was disenfranchised from my family. Frankly, nobody wanted me around, and I made some decisions. I had been in and out of treatment for about 18 months, had a lot of exposure to treatment, and I thought, what, maybe that's a place where I could give back. A lot of the counselors that I had while I was in treatment were themselves in recovery and encouraged me to look at the field as a new career option. And that's what I did. I started working for the state association, the advocacy group, ASAP, worked there for 3 years. An opportunity came up to interview for the executive director position at ACCA. I jumped at that opportunity, went through the interview cycle, and was selected for the position. And that was in February of 2009.
So you've been there for going on
4 years.
Going on 4 years.
On 4 years.
What makes you go to work every day?
It's funny. I don't consider it work. I've always liked my jobs. I've always liked the work that I've done, but it's been work. I still don't consider this to be work. I love getting up in the morning. I love what we do in our field. I mean, we truly help people. Every day is a challenge, and early on, I think it was probably the first month I was at ACCA, and it happened to be a very, very difficult day, and it was about 3:30, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and I was like, why am I here? Well, today was, if every day is going to be like this for the rest of my life as executive director, did I make a mistake or not?
Right.
And at that time, one of our clients who had been living in the community residence program came in, and he was emptying the trash, doing some basic chores that is a requirement for the clients in the halfway house. And he came in, and we just started talking, and we talked for about 45 minutes. And when he left, I sat back down at my desk, and that's why I was there, and that's why I love my job, because he gave me something. He made it clear. We didn't talk specifically about what kind of day each of us was having. We were just talking about our stories, what got this gentleman to ACCA, what got me to ACCA, and our stories were similar. We went through some of the same situations, and he felt good when he left. I felt good, when I left, and the next day was a new day, and every day's been like that since.
So you mentioned one of the services that ACCA offers. Tell me about, because to me, ACCA is one of the instrumental organizations within the Capital District, I would say, if not upstate New York. You've got some of the big providers down towards the city, but within the Capital District, in our viewing area, ACCA to me is just one of those one-stops, which kind of, you guys start with the kids as far as prevention all the way up and follow through where it's not just okay, you did your 30 days, okay, you did whatever. Good luck, see you later. Tell me about some of the services that ACCA has currently to offer the people that are still out there sick and suffering.
Well, I think what makes us unique, Dean, is our prevention program, our community education program. We provide prevention in Albany County and in the Capital District, prevention education to schools grades K through 12. And that's, it's education based. It's not, just this is your brain on drugs. It's, it's education, it's literacy based, and it's best practices education. And we work with families through our community education program, basic prevention, some of the challenges that young people face, that families face when alcohol or drugs comes into the picture, how to avoid it, lifestyle changes and choices that need to be made to live an alcohol and drug-free life. We've also started doing work around bullying. What we have found just through our own study and understanding is that a lot of the bullying happens and alcohol or drugs are involved in that. That's kind of what triggers some of those behaviors.
Sure.
That's true of children, true of adults. So we've started incorporating bullying education into our prevention programming. So I think that makes us unique, that component of it. We also, at the community education program, train addictions professionals. So we train people to be counselors. They go through a 350-hour KSAC program, and they come away with a KSAC-T, a certificate that enables them to sit for the state examination and then be a credentialed addictions professional. So, we educate, train kids, we train addiction professionals to provide treatment.
I want to talk more about the continuing education, because that's actually where I took the 350-hour KSAC classes. And once I got sober, I thought, what are you going to teach me about addiction? I know everything. And much to my surprise, a combination of my personal experience, but then again also the education, I think again are really unparalleled within the Capital District, to take people from one point of their life and make them productive members of society, giving back in those same communities that they took from. I want to go back to the children, and I believe it's called the Apple a Day program.
Yes.
Can you give me a little comparison on how, for example, when I was in school, it was the DARE program. Tell me how, and what distinguishes the difference between the DARE program and the Apple a Day program?
I think some of the traditional prevention programs are almost more, I don't like to use the term threatening in a way, but they use, they have that tool that demonstrates a car crash. So they're, they intimidate and scare people. I think in some
It's interesting,
situations.
you say that scare, that fear factor, kind of like the Scared Straight. There's a real popular show on A&E right now called Scared Straight. And if anything, when I was part of the DARE program, again, and I think collectively there's so many resources that we can utilize, but individually, I don't know how effective they are. For me, it kind of intrigued me. And again, if somebody's already been exposed to addiction, the thought of going to jail, let's be honest. I mean, people that are doing drugs are, not really concerned about going to jail. It's like, I'm not going to get caught, first of all.
Right. So Apple a Day and our other curriculum, it's literacy based. It really involves reading skills, and it's very participatory. The students and the prevention educator interact a lot. There's writing involved. People write stories. They write about their understanding of addiction and some of the problems that it causes in people's lives as they understand it. So it's more engagement and education. And not to talk down about the DARE program. I mean, addiction and the understanding of addiction has come a long way in the last decade, and it's become a real science. So, we know more about how alcohol and drugs affect, the brain chemistry of an individual, just the general physiology of an individual. That's incorporated into our our teachings, our education programs. So it's more science-based, it's more education-based than coming from a law enforcement perspective, which is, those are good and they have their place, and we actually work very closely and partner with the Sheriff's Department in Albany County on their programming. So I think it's a good partnership and a good match, the two types of approaches to prevention.
How long is Apple a Day? How long has that program been effective in you said Albany County?
Yeah.
How long have you folks been doing it? What results have you seen? And what particular school districts are you currently in? And I guess just one more question before, I'm putting you on the spot. Why just Albany County?
Our funding, we're an Albany County-based provider. A lot of our funding comes through Albany County government,
Okay.
State government through Albany County government. We do work in other schools outside of Albany County. However, those are more individual and contractually based. But our funding is primarily to provide services in Albany County and the Albany County school districts. We've been doing Apple a Day since the mid to late 90s.
Wow.
So we've been doing it for quite a while. And we actually just received national designation as an evidence-based practice. So it's a program now that is available to prevention educators all across the country. And we've actually been marketing Apple a Day nationwide, and it's being used now in some of the western states, most notably New Mexico.
Wow.
So yeah, it's a evidence-based program. It's trademarked, and we're very proud of it. We've been doing it for quite a few years, but now it's taken to a different level. It's nationally recognized as an effective prevention education program.
This is a program, and this program works, and this is how we can prove it works.
Yes. Yeah.
What schools are you currently in?
We're in the Albany City School Districts. We're very involved right now in the Selkirk School Districts, and we're really doing a lot of Apple a Day work there.
Down in
and also
Ravina?
Down in Ravina.
Oh, my wife is a school teacher in Ravina.
Oh, okay.
I'm very glad to hear that you folks are coming into that school district.
Yeah, Caitlin Appleby, who's one of our community educators, is from Ravina.
Yeah.
And she's been working with Ravina Selkirk for quite a while now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Great. Some of the other programs that you have at ACCA, you mentioned besides the Apple a Day, I guess we can kind of work our way up through the years with addiction.
Okay.
What would be the next one that someone may benefit from?
Well, we have the full continuum of care. We have a community residence, a men's halfway house at 90 McCarty Avenue, and an individual could enter the halfway house, stay with us for up to 2 years after that.
Oh, wow.
They could go, spend 6 to 9 months in the halfway house, go to our supportive living program. We have supportive living facilities, which is like a 3-quarter house
Sure.
for men and women. An individual could decide to stay within our treatment system and our treatment and recovery system for up to 2 years and go to the transitional living housing that we have. We have a men's program called the Riley House. That's at 90 McCarty Avenue, and we just opened up Vista House, which is transitional living for women with children.
Which is one of the biggest populations that's underserved, besides obviously the adolescents. So tell me a little bit more about the halfway house, the transitional living. How many beds and how many people do you think you serve with those particular programs since they're...
Yeah, on the men's side, we have the halfway house is a 24-bed men's halfway house. We have a 24-bed men's supportive living program and a 12-bed men's transitional living program. So, what's that? 72, I guess?
Yeah,
we
that's
can
a
do
lot
the
of
math
people.
on that. Our women's supportive living program is on Myrtle Avenue, right in the center of the city of Albany. A very nice neighborhood setting. It's a 3-story apartment house, an very old house, and that's an 8-bed supportive living house. And Vista House, which is Women and Children's Transitional Living, is a 17-bed, 22-person facility. And we have residents who we actually have had 3 babies born
Wow.
at Vista House this year. So we literally take, women who are pregnant, expecting, or with children up to the age of 10. And a woman could have up to 2 children in the program. So yeah, we've seen it all there in a very short period of time. We just opened Vista House in November 2011.
And how's that going so far?
It's challenging. The female population is a very challenging population. A lot of it is because there's not a lot of service available. So we have, Vista House is intended to be transitional living, and quite honestly, it's sort of a hybrid right now. It's sort of a hybrid halfway house, transitional living, supportive living program. And that creates an interesting dynamic within the house. The residents are at many different stages of their recovery process. Traditionally, in transitional living, an individual would have up to a year of recovery already. We literally have women who are coming out of the criminal justice system, right out of criminal justice, and they need a place to stay in a safe, secure setting. We'll house them at Vista House. We have individuals who they can't find a halfway house bed, for example, or supportive living, and if we have a bed available, and if the situation is appropriate, we'll house that person at Vista House. So you have that dynamic. There, again, women, I think in a lot of ways suffer more when they have addiction than men normally do. My opinion, but I think it's true. They suffer a lot of abuse throughout their lifetime. There's a lot of fear involved in their lives, which impacts the way we treat women in our treatment program. We have to provide a lot of mental health services along with addiction treatment. We do a lot of evidence-based group counseling that addresses PTSD, trauma that they may have suffered, growing up or in a relationship with a significant other. So a lot of those factors make treatment a little bit more challenging in that setting. And what's interesting, then you add children to it. That's a situation where often, the mother and child are just reuniting after, several years.
Sure.
And we just created a partnership with Parsons Women and Children, and that we provide some parenting skills for the women, and really addresses the new family life that they're going to be experiencing. Children, addiction's a family disease, so the children have experienced their mother's addiction. And they've had some of their own. They have some of their own scars. So we work with the adolescents and the children on that.
Tell me a little bit about the outpatient program. It's over on Ontario?
115 Ontario Street.
Tell me a little bit about the outpatient program.
It's actually 2 programs in one building. It's a intensive day rehab program. So the residents in our program will go to the day rehab program from 8:30 until 2 o'clock. So they're in treatment all day, then they return to whether it's primarily the community residents, the halfway house, but some of our supportive living clients, residents are in the day rehab as well. So that's an intensive treatment setting. A lot of, they go to 4 groups a day. They may have an individual counseling session during the day. They'll meet with our medical director or mental health professionals during that time period. But it's a very controlled, intensive setting. In some ways, it mirrors your traditional 28-day or 38-day residential program. However, it's for a longer period of time. People are in the day rehab for up to 9 months. So they're in there for they're being treated in that program for quite a while. Then we have the traditional outpatient program, which is housed in the same building, and that's individuals who don't need intensive program. They may have been in some degree of treatment already, but the discharge planning called for some outpatient treatment. So they may go to a group a day, a few groups a week, individual counseling. A lot of relapse prevention work goes on at that stage, just so that they can maintain their the level of recovery that they've achieved. to that point.
Now, Keith, we touched base on a lot of the clinical services that you offer throughout the community in the Capital District, upstate New York. Also, the continuing education, where if someone's interested, someone's in recovery, you can reach out to ACCA. If someone's in need of services, you can reach out to ACCA. Also, want to take the time to, again, I think ACCA is one of the instrumental programs within the Capital District and is really part of the community where a lot of times, you know, people that are in substance abuse facilities, halfway houses, rehabs, detoxes, are those people that are shunned. And you're actually becoming part of the community and supporting the community that you're in. Obviously, next month, September, is Recovery Month. I want to touch base on a few events that ACCA is sponsoring, has coming up. You have a gentleman, a comedian, that's going to be coming to town starting September 10th. You want to tell me a little bit about him, and then we're going to see a clip about Mark.
Okay. Mark Lundholm, he's a nationally recognized and known comedian, but his comedy, his act is really based upon his own recovery experience, his own life experiences. And, you know, he has you talk about a dramatic story of addiction and then recovery. You know, he hit some incredible bottoms, as we know, bottoms. And he was in prison, he was in institutions, and now he's in recovery. And he's making a living, a very good, he's very successful, but he talks about his story. And it's, he's a funny guy. He's a real funny guy. And, I'm in recovery, and I have my story, and I hear other people's stories. And, if you don't laugh at them, you're going to cry about them. And he makes you laugh about them. But there's a real message of hope in his act.
And Mark is going to be coming to town Monday, September 10th. Then he has a couple events that you folks are sponsoring on September 12th. We're going to watch a clip of Mark, and we're also going to give more information about when people and how people can contact you to see Mark.
Could you please welcome Mr. Mark Lundholm?
Done shows for auditoriums of 20,000 strong. I've performed for 4 people in a detox who didn't know I was in the room. Tonight, you people are somewhere in between. I get to look at a unique bunch of folks this evening. One of the few times all year in this theater that the usher will hand you back your ticket stub and say, "Have a great time." And this group will go, "Hey, hey, don't tell me what to do." For tonight's purposes, strict definition of normal person is anyone at all who hears the word blackout and thinks no electricity. If you hear the term three-way and think of a light bulb, Hollywood very big on the next story. Story's very important to them. I was there a little while ago, and I was talking to this Putz publisher guy about a book. He says, "You got a great story. Street addict, wino, cardboard box guy, professional entertainer. Hey, you should write a book. You got a great story. We'll call it From the Street to the Stage. Yeah, yeah, yeah." If I was going to write a book, it'd be called From Cocaine to Rogaine. I have a 10-year-old daughter. Love her more than anything on this earth. I love her. I've already started saving for her rehab. Because she's daddy's girl.
Also on Saturday, September 29th, going back to the Apple a Day, you guys got a Start Smart Field Day planned. Absolutely, it looks to me like for the whole family, from everything from petting zoos to pony rides, pizza, cotton candy. It's a family fun event. for education in the Apple a Day program. We got about probably a minute and a half, 2 minutes left. Keith, that's your camera. I want you to, if somebody's still sick and suffering out there, like you've been, like I've been, like the people that we both see on a daily basis, and some are sicker than others, what would you say to that person? Or what would you say to someone that knows someone that's still suffering? And actually, when it comes to addiction, suffering is just a fine line from dying. What would you say?
You know, I'm in recovery, and I think there's hope. You know, you can get help. You don't need to be ashamed about the problems you're having with alcohol and addiction. Reach out to somebody. Reach out to a treatment provider. Get some information. And I think it's that message holds true for the family members who are impacted by that individual's behavior. There's hope. Life is about treatment's about recovery. You can recover. I've recovered. I have a full and happy life. And you know, I think about my addiction, but I think about my recovery every day. And you know, it's there for all of us. And all you have to do is ask for the help.
Thanks for joining us, Keith.
Great. Thank you.
Welcome to Colonie TV, the governmental educational channel for the town of Colonie.